my name is Gabe Zollner. You know, on December 4th, 2012, the 112th Congress, they submitted a document. It's called HRES 824, and it was presented by Mr. Wolf and 14 other members of Congress. The purpose of the resolution was to establish and select a committee to investigate and report their findings on the attacks of the United States Consulate in Benghazi, Libya. As defined in the official resolution, the first glaring mistake in the resolution was a reference was made that the attack took place at the consulate in Benghazi, when in fact, as we all know, great efforts were made by the administration and the news media to make us aware that the attack took place at the facility and not at the consulate. That mistake, referencing this facility as the consulate, was repeated again in Section 1, where reference was again made to the consulate in Benghazi. In Section 3, the mistake was again repeated 2 additional times. As most of us that followed the events unfold on Benghazi, as reported by both the media and the administration, they both went to great pains to explain that the attacks took place at a facility and not a consulate. I found it rather startling that the official bill, H.R. 824, made no reference to the facility and clearly spells out the word consulate throughout the entire bill. One would have thought that with the importance and the significance of such an important bill, that the authors of the bill would not have made such a glaring and significant mistake throughout the bill itself. In Section 1, Item 6, stated recommendations on what steps Congress and the President should take to prevent future attack. It began with the word attack, which should have been plural and not singular. However, of greater significance and importance was item number 6, recommending on what steps Congress and the President should take. That is assuming, of course, that the President himself will not have been found to have been at all involved in participating in any way as to what took place that unfortunate evening in Benghazi, Libya. The committee would serve the American people significantly better if they would focus on the following important questions and provide clear and specific answers to these questions. They are as follows. Number 1, why were 14 military personnel reassigned and relocated from the facility 3 weeks prior to Ambassador Stevens' scheduled visit to Benghazi? Item 2, why was there a predator overhead sending back real-time video of the entire event when all that was to have taken place at the facility that evening was for Ambassador Christopher Stevens to have dinner with a diplomat from Turkey? They were obviously probably concluding their gun-running operation. Number 3, why, according to the official White House log, was President Obama, VP Joe Biden, and Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta down in the Situation Room watching the events unfold real time that evening? Number 4, who gave the stand down order, not once but on 3 separate occasions, to Glenn Doherty and Tyrone Woods when they heard the commotion at the facility, which was approximately 1 mile away at their CIA annex? Number 5, why was no military help provided over a 7-hour gun battle when numerous requests to provide assistance was made repeated times by not only the ex-Navy SEALs and other personnel, by including Ambassador Christopher Stevens, who was at the facility? Who other, and number 6, who other than President Obama could notify and order military personnel into a sovereign country? Number 7, who other than President Obama could deny military assistance other than President Obama, especially when we all know that he watched the events unfold real time in the Situation Room, as clearly indicated in the White House logs? It goes on and on and on. Number 8, why was General Ham, who was responsible for AFRICOM, demoted shortly after the attack on the facility in Benghazi, Libya? Number 9, why did Hillary Clinton and President Obama come out into the Rose Garden right after the attack and blame what took place on Benghazi on a video trailer when they knew firsthand what actually transpired that evening? She might not have, but he certainly did. Number 10, why was an ambassador to the United Nations, Susan Rice, asked to go on to 5 national televised programs and support the narrative that the administration, including President Obama, spun to the American people. Number 11, why would President Obama go on to The Tonight Show with Jay Leno and spin the same lying narrative, and then 2 weeks later at the United Nations Assembly spin the same narrative not only once, but 6 times during his speech at the UN? If the congressman that submitted H.R. 824 were serious about getting the truth of what happened that evening, they would replace their initial submitted bill, H.Res. 824, that was once again full of errors, and replace it starting with item 1, including with item 11, as defined above. And they would also make no reference of requesting any recommendations that the president might wish to make to prevent similar future incidences as to what took place at the facility in Benghazi, Libya, reoccurring elsewhere. Unfortunately, with the level of corruption that is present throughout this administration, the blame for what happened that evening in Benghazi, Libya, will be placed on others and not on the actual individuals responsible for obvious reasons. Any bill requesting an investigation into who was and is ultimately responsible for what took place in Benghazi will be nothing more than a complete waste of both time, money, and energy. There are many American people that know the truth, but similar to the responsible parties that supported and orchestrated the failed program known as Operation Fast and Furious, no one has ever been held accountable, and no one will ever be held accountable. Similarly, in Benghazi, we will never know the truth, not in our lifetimes. However, I'm confident that the individuals responsible for these horrific events will one day be identified somewhere at some time in our children or grandchildren's future. God help America. It needs it, and God bless America. Thank you.